Man, both of these guys are going off on high head pressure. Look at that head pressure, 346. It's not that hot outside. It's 100 degrees. Something's funky. So the condenser fan motors are running. Let's take a look right here. Both condenser fan motors are running and they're moving like they should be. They're moving air. It's always possible we're overcharged. Huh. I mean, we're moving good air too. Now, oh, that's probably why, because we got this panel off. That's probably why we're tripping the head pressure. We need to put this on and then reset it.
This video is brought to you by Sporlan. Quality, integrity, and tradition.
We have a bar room AC that is not working properly. We went down to the thermostat and the thermostat is calling. Actually, they have a couple ACs down, but we're gonna start on this one. So the thermostat is calling. We should have it running and it's not. The condenser's not hot. So we're gonna start with the electrical panel, dig into that and see what we can figure out. All right, on this unit, it's a pretty basic sequence of operation, okay? You've got a schematic here. Their schematics can be a little confusing, but you can stare at it. Essentially, you've got 3-phase, 208 volts coming up through the disconnect switch. Once it comes up through that, it sits at the contactors. You can actually see it right here. Field power, there's 3 legs and a ground, and it's gonna sit at the contactor. But then it actually jumps off of the contactor down here, sits at the indoor fan contactor, jumps off, and it's actually gonna go through the transformer right here, okay? The transformer is gonna step the voltage down to 24 volts. It's gonna run right through here on the red wire, through a fuse, then it's gonna go to the R terminal on the thermostat board right over here, which is gonna be this guy, okay? This is our thermostat board. This is gonna send power down to the thermostat through these thermostat wires, which runs down to the building. The thermostat acts like a light switch, but it's temperature controlled. When someone turns the light switch on or the thermostat logic says, hey, it's hot in here, turn on the air conditioner, we get a call for cooling or a call for heating, you know, vice versa, but we get a call for cooling on Y1. Then what's gonna happen, Y1 in this situation is gonna go right here and it's gonna go through the economizer logic board, which is on the other side. The economizer logic board is gonna say, hey, you know what? It's nice and cool outside. We don't need to turn on the compressor. Let's turn on free cooling. And it opens up a set of dampers, runs it through that. Then if the economizer logic board says, hey, it's too hot outside, let's not do free cooling, it sends power back. It runs in through the pressure controls in the unit, okay? Then it's gonna go, actually I think it's gonna go through the logic board first, then it's gonna go to the pressure controls. After the pressure controls, low and high are okay, then it's gonna send power back on our compressor contactor and turn the compressor contactor on. Now, that's a quick rundown. There's a lot more to it, but that's the basic concept. So where we're gonna start on this one is we're gonna start with 3-phase high voltage. We're gonna verify it's the correct voltage. Then we're gonna verify that the transformer is working correctly. We can do that by checking from R to C. This is a low voltage terminal. So we check from R to C. If we have 24 volts, we know the transformer is good. Then we can proceed troubleshooting from there. So our first step, we're gonna go ahead and check power at the contactor, which it's a shortcut because we're bypassing the disconnect switch, okay? So we had 208 from 1 to 2, 208 from 2 to 3, and 208 from 3 to 1, okay? So we have 3-phase power coming into this unit. Our next step is we're gonna check voltage at the thermostat terminal board, R to C, and we're gonna see what we get right now. R to C, we have 25 volts, okay? Our next step is gonna see if the thermostat is calling. So we're gonna go from C to Y1. What do we got? We got 25 volts on C to Y1. Okay, that's interesting. Now I want you to jump from C to X and we're gonna test the compressor lockout board. From C to X, we have no voltage, okay? So our thermostat is telling us to turn on, all right? We're not on compressor lockout, which theoretically means that we don't have a tripped high pressure or a tripped low pressure, okay? So left in our sequence of operation is our economizer logic board. Power's coming up from the thermostat, it's saying to turn on, We don't think we are on lockout because we do not have voltage between X and C. All right, it would be there if we had, if the unit's wired correctly, it would be locked down and we would have voltage from X to C if we had a high pressure or low pressure that was tripped. So if everything's good, we don't. Our next step should be check the economizer logic board to see if there's a problem at that. Now we got some really dirty filters. Our economizer logic board is actually over here and it's really dirty. So we're gonna make this easy and we're gonna bend this out to where it's easier to see so we can troubleshoot it a little bit easier. All right, so the way we have it mounted, it just takes 4 screws and you can access it a little bit easier. So our economizer logic board has an active alarm on it right now. And it says, mixed air temperature sensor error, MAT sense error, okay? And then let's see if it has any other errors. Alarms, mixed air temperature. And it's erased, but it just comes right back. So we have a bad mixed air temperature sensor. But let's see if that's the only thing we have. So we're gonna go through the steps here. And we're gonna go to status. Is the economizer available? It says yes. So right now, it says the economizer can work. Is the system occupied? Yes. Is Y1 calling from the thermostat? It's on, so yes. Is Y1 being sent out from the logic of this board? No. So it thinks that it's cool enough or something's going on that this is not, this seems to be our problem right now. Let's keep going through it. Is Y2? Okay, no. Mixed air temperature has 2 bars, meaning it's not even reading mixed air temperature at all. Outdoor air temperature, it thinks it's 39 degrees. So that's a problem too. That's the minimum position of the damper. Okay, so this guy right here looks like we got 2 bad sensors probably. So we have, let's see, mixed air temperature and outdoor air sensors are right here. MAT, OAT. And those are probably our problem. So let's get our eyeballs on the sensors. If we open this guy up right here, we should be able to see the outdoor air sensor right here. And that seems suspect because it should not be reading 39 degrees. We'll get that guy pulled off and then we're gonna shut down the unit and look at the mixed air temperature sensor too. So our mixed air temperature sensor goes right here, all right? And our outdoor air temperature sensor, they're both acting like they're bad, okay? We come over here, they're both right here. We could have a problem in our economizer logic. We could have a problem with electrical. I'm gonna go down to the van and see if I have any sensors first though, okay? These are a very common failure point on these Honeywell Jade economizers. Things go bad all the time. So let's see what we can find. All right, we have 2 failed sensors. We're gonna do a resistance value across them, all right? And we have 10 k ohms on one, 10 k ohms, 11 k ohms on the other. It's kind of going back and forth. They also have some really bad electrical connections too, the way they went in. We have 2 new sensors that I had in the van. $15 k ohms, 15 k ohms. Now the resistance is going to change with the temperature on these. These are standard temperature sensors. You can do enthalpy sensors too. I actually have 2 of the enthalpy sensors, but we're just running outdoor air temperature economizers. So it just looks at the dry bulb temperature, that's it. Here in Southern California, we can get away with that because we don't really know what humidity is. We have high humidity right now, and I bet you it's 32%, 35%. Like that's high for us. So, you know, and it's hot, so they're not going to open the economizers at this time. So these are going to work just fine. We're going to slap these in, see if that's the only problem, and then go from there. Okay, we changed the mixed air temperature sensor. What we typically do too is we eliminate this connector because the new sensors, they come with these guys, and I like them a lot better. They tend to make a better connection, in my opinion. But I mean, the failure rate on these is still really high. So we got this one changed out. This area is dirty in there. And then over here, we got this one changed out and installed. So we're gonna put on the panels, turn the unit back on, and see what the economizer says. All right, we come over to our logic module and it's still powering up, and we hit status. Economizer available, no, that's a good sign. Economizing, no. Occupied, yes. Y1 is off because it's not calling yet. We're waiting for a call. We want to see what the sensors say. Our mixed air temperature sensor says 105 degrees now and dropping. Outdoor air temperature sensor says 101 degrees. So we're reading accurate temperatures on those now. So if all goes well, this logic should allow our system to turn on when the thermostat tells it to. So we're currently waiting for the thermostat delay, but we can actually bypass the thermostat by jumping it out, because you never want to come up and initially bypass a thermostat. You always want to wait to see if the thermostat comes on its own. But we came up and we knew we had a call for cooling, so that told us that the thermostat works. So from that point forward, I have no problem jumping it out, so long as we've already verified that the actual thermostat works. So we're gonna go ahead and jump this guy out real quick and see if we can't get it running. So we ran a jumper from R to Y1 and our unit just turned on. And we are now cooling. Whether or not we're cooling properly, we don't know, but we know that the unit is cooling. We're gonna go ahead and put the economizer logic board back in, and then we're going to further troubleshoot the unit, see if it's working properly. I do want to point out, we're putting all the panels back on. This guy is open partially because I have it set up for about, I think it's maybe 10-15% minimum outside air for fresh air requirements. So we're bringing fresh air in through every AC. You have to keep that in mind too when you're troubleshooting and looking at your unit TDs, because we're mixing outside air. So we're probably gonna have a higher than normal TD unless we close the outside air damper. All right, we're gonna put our temperature clamps on the system. We're gonna go ahead and do a full measure quick profile. The pressure probes are already on there, you can see, but we zeroed out the system. So we turned the pressure probes on, made sure they said 0 PSI on here before. Now we're gonna put the temperature clamps. In order to put the temperature clamps, they need a clean surface. So you gotta scuff it up with some Scotch-Brite, some sandpaper, and then see, right now we turn this one on, and this is our discharge line, okay? About 8 to 10 inches away from the compressor. And then we're gonna go ahead and proceed with the suction line temperature. We're gonna get right about here on the suction line temperature, and then liquid line temperature coming out of the dryer, okay? So that way we can see potential restrictions. So we'll sand it right there. And then we'll do a full measure quick workup on here. All right, got all of our temperature clamps on. We're gonna bend this guy in. Yeah, we're ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and profile this guy on measure quick real quick, and then put the panel back on and start it back up. We went through our profile, we went to system info, and we changed all the information over. So we're a package unit, 72,000 BTUs. It's a 6-ton R22, 400 CFMs per ton, 10 to 12 SEER. It is a fixed orifice metering device, so we did a piston, and that's it. So our unit is now running. We hit continue, and we can just kind of watch it from in here while it's operating to see how well it's doing and what's going on. So we're gonna give it a few minutes to stabilize out, and then we'll come back. All right, this guy is looking pretty darn good, okay? So let's go back over here. All right, suction line temperature is a little bit high. The unit's still stabilizing out. It's gonna take a few minutes. Superheat's still a little bit high. Subcooling's about where I'd expect it to be. Let's go on over here. Outdoor air temperature is about 95 degrees. Approach temperature slowly dropping. It's still kind of stabilizing out because the unit's still struggling a little bit. All right. Temperature split's about 23 degrees. Airflow's pretty good. So we're running a little bit high on the head pressure, not horrendous, but here's the thing. We're having to dance between the right place to get our temperature for our outdoor air temperature, okay? So if you look right here, I just rotated it around. We're a little bit above target, but I'm getting this. So half the condenser's in the sun, half of it's out of the sun. So move it out here, you're gonna get a little more accurate, but it's more in the sun. It's gonna hit, you know, in the 90s over there. So you're kind of getting a mixture between the two. On this unit right now, I'm not scared of anything. The superheat's a little bit high, but the unit's still stabilizing out. I'm pretty happy with everything. We're gonna leave this unit alone. I'm not gonna put any refrigerant in it. I'm gonna call it good with the temperature sensors. And then we're gonna go ahead and jump onto the next air conditioner that they have, because they have a couple down. So we're gonna jump on the next one and see what's going on with that one. And yeah, this is our other AC that's not working, and this one concerns me, okay? Because if we open up right here, we've got what looks to be like oil all coming out the bottom, okay? Come over here, looks like oil, looks like oil. So I'm a little concerned about this guy with the potential oil that I see. But we're gonna open it up and see what we can figure out. Yeah, this is not good. So we opened this guy up, we just turned off power. And what do we got going on in here? Looks like we might have blown compressor terminal possibly out of this guy. Possibility, I don't know. I don't see it right now. It doesn't look like it vented, but there is oil everywhere in here. So something ain't right, and it looks like it came out from here. So I'm pretty sure this guy's gonna be without refrigerant. So we're gonna check it right now. And that looks black too. Everything's black on this thing. No? Oh. Okay, gas. Woo! That's burnt though. Yeah, that is burnt refrigerant for sure. But how come it's not grounded the compressor? Oh man. Yeah, that's not good. It's interesting because it's like slightly burnt. I don't know. It's not a complete burnt smell, but I don't know. We're just looking. I mean, we haven't got leak detectors out and stuff, but I mean, there's oil in there, but it doesn't seem to be all there. But look at that. Look at how black that is. But yeah, the smell coming out of it's horrendous. But there's refrigerant in it. I mean, there's oil. You can see my fingers got oil all over them from it. Yeah. All right, well, we're gonna put a gauge on there and kind of get an idea what the standing pressures are. And then we gotta figure out what happened here. We have got standing pressure at 21 PSI. That's definitely low. We know we have something going on, but I'm intrigued because if you look at the top of the compressor, you see how burnt the sticker is. The stickers, I just kind of feel like this thing might have been running with low on gas for a very long time and like the oil's cooked, because it's not burnt like the smell, but it smells almost like motor oil in a weird way. It's interesting. So we need to find where this refrigerant leak is, because it still has gas in it, it still has pressure. So we should be able to find it. So we're gonna go get the leak detector and see if we can't pinpoint this a little bit better. We're picking it up like crazy right on the back side of the compressor. Right back there somewhere. So we're gonna have to get our heads back there. Something's going on. Now, this is kind of a cool one. So right on the back of the compressor, the soft plug blew out. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. It's kind of hard to see, but right there, it's a soft plug, and it's one of these right here. This is a soft plug right here too. And the soft plug is leaking refrigerant. It's actually a common issue on these older ones. This is a Carlisle compressor, so that was a thing that happened on those. Which is good, because I want to change the compressor based off of the smell of the oil alone, right? And the fact that it's leaking on the compressor. Cool, problem solved. So we're gonna need a new compressor on this guy. It's so out of refrigerant, there's nothing we can do. So we're gonna write this one up as a bad compressor. And then because of the nastiness of that oil, we will be installing, if we can, maybe a suction line filter dryer right here. Possibly, I don't know, it's kind of tight, but maybe we can get it there. It just depends. We might have to cut like if we cut this guy right here and then shorten it just a little bit, then push it in, it'll push this whole line in, and we'll have room for a 30 cubic inch Sporlan suction line filter dryer right there. So yeah, that's the plan. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and isolate power on this one, just get the indoor fan running, but we are gonna shut the outdoor air damper, because this one does pull minimum outside air, but we don't want that happening right now because it's not cooling, so we don't need it adding extra heat to the building. So we are gonna shut this outdoor air damper. All right, this one right here, we just went ahead, this one was running. So when we first got here, we had two ACs that weren't running, that one and this one, so we jumped right on those, okay? Everything else was running. But this one doesn't have a good TD. We opened it up just a little bit, and only the first stage is running. So we're going to test to see if second stage is being called for at the terminal board right there. So we're going to test across C and Y2 to see if we get voltage. So we have a call for Y2, but it's not turning on. Why is the question? So we need to look into that. Test between X and C. And it's off on lockout of some sort because we have voltage at X and C. So we need to figure out why it's off on lockout and what's happening here. So with that being said, we're gonna have to apply service gauges to this guy. We quickly just depressed the Schrader with this guy, and it has pressure. So the first thing I wanted to check was make sure that we didn't have a broken belt or something, and we don't. Belt's nice and good. So we're gonna put this back on, go ahead and gauge up, and then test the entire system. Weird, it turned on and then it went off on high head pressure for the first stage. There it goes. Second stage is on now. Okay. Go ahead and close that panel up. All right, so second stage is running, but the head pressure went too high too quick, so I wonder if it's just because we had the panel off or what. First stage head pressure's through the roof too, so that's weird. Almost like we have an overcharge or something. It's kind of funky. Man, both of these guys are going off on high head pressure. Look at that head pressure, 346. It's not that hot outside. It's 100 degrees. Something's funky. So the condenser fan motors are running. Let's take a look right here. Both condenser fan motors are running and they're moving like they should be. They're moving air. It's always possible we're overcharged. Huh. I mean, we're moving good air too. Now, oh, that's probably why. Because we got this panel off. That's probably why we're tripping the head pressure. We need to put this on and then reset it. All right, that's much better. I mean, we're still going really high though. Dang, no, that's not why. What the heck is going on here? Shutting off on high head pressure. It's always possible that we need to get the building air dropping a little bit. Yeah, we're satisfied. I mean, we're shut off on head pressure right now. It's very interesting. It doesn't even run for a minute, but it's both stages. All right, I closed the outside air damper. This guy is acting really funky right now. Almost like it's overcharged. This is the first stage. The second stage, it shut off. It keeps shutting off. This is the first stage, and we're running with 0 degrees superheat. The subcooling's ridiculously high. It's acting like the first stage is low. I mean, overcharged, but we're gonna attempt to clean this condenser first. It doesn't look too bad, but it is a double road condenser, and I wanna make sure it's not plugged on the inside. But this thing's acting funky, so we're gonna give this guy a good cleaning really quick and then evaluate it further after that. So just giving it a rinse from the outside, there's quite a bit of stuff coming out from the inside, but we need to pop the top on this guy and look at that inside condenser and see how it's doing. And that'll give us a better idea where the problem might be. So we just carefully wedged up the top, and look at the inside of that thing. It's dirty. So we're gonna get in there, pull the whole thing. We're gonna pull the whole top off and clean it properly. Talk about needing to split a condenser. Look at that. Woo! That thing is dirty, man. All right, we're gonna get this guy cleaned up proper. Some coil pouring. Oh yeah. That's why it's so important to split your condensers, guys. Chunky. We got a little bit of the brightener cleaner on here, and we're going to town. So this stuff is coming out really, really nasty. It's crazy what's coming out of here. All right, got this guy cleaned up. I washed all the stuff down the drain. That way it doesn't get sucked back up into the ACs. We're ready to put the top back on right now, so we're gonna slide it over. When it comes to this stuff, man, I mean, you can do it with one person, but you really gotta struggle. It's best to have two people. So, yeah, we'll go and rinse the other ones off too, but we're gonna slap that top back on. All right, we got the unit all assembled. Went ahead and rinsed off every other AC since I had the hose up here, cleaned all the outside air filters. So we're waiting for this guy to start up, which it should start up any minute, and we'll see if everything's better. All right, I had to switch to my phone because my tablet died. So this is after cleaning. We're still running high head pressure, and look at that subcooling. Look at that circuit 1 subcooling, man. That's way too high. Superheat is, you know, right there. They want to see a little bit lower. Let's go over to circuit 2, give it a second to catch up. Circuit 2 is also running high head pressure, and the subcooling is also a little bit high. So I'm not in love with that. Kind of looking like maybe a restriction. It's about 96 degrees outside right now. Let's see that approach temp on circuit 1. Yeah, we're really low approach on both. I'd really like to get in here and recover the charge and start over and then weigh it back in. But let's look at the rest of it right now. So we got a 22 degree temperature split. We're delivering about 112,000 BTUs. Okay, well, this is about as good as it's going to get right now. It's getting late on a Friday. It's about 5 o'clock. We're not going to spend much more time here. I would love to come in here and go ahead and recover the charge and start with that. Maybe even try to clear the metering device, but we're gonna have to talk to the customer about that. But they have an air conditioner now. So altogether, we had that AC down, bad outdoor air and mixed air temperature sensor. This one right here has got a bad compressor. It's leaking out the soft plugs. That one's done. This one right here had a plugged up condenser coil. We cleaned that. It's working now. This one has been good since we got here. That one's been good since we got here. Kitchen AC is good since we got here. I was here the other day on the office AC. It's got a plugged up metering device, which I've condemned already. So office AC is down. This AC is down. Everything else I rinsed, cleaned the outside air filters, so at least they have some cooling. They're not gonna love the fact that they got 2 ACs down because they're going into Father's Day weekend, but hey, I can only do so much. So we're gonna clean up our messes and wrap this one up for now. And you know, try to talk them into letting me come out here and recover the charge, try to clear the metering devices, maybe put some new dryers on it and see where that gets us on this guy.
It seems like I'm always getting these service calls, and I kind of am, because I take the more difficult service calls majority of the time, you know. I typically have someone working with me, so I'll take the calls where I think there's going to need to be cleaning and different things like that. So we do get normal service calls too. I have other service technicians that are handling reach-in cooler calls and, you know, AC calls that I don't suspect are going to be disasters. But I can kind of gauge by the restaurant, you know, like, hey, this is going to be you know, just a real nightmare. So, you know, I'll go out and take those calls or take someone with me and try to knock them out. Okay. So, you know, when it comes to these calls, like triaging things, okay, so you walk up and they say, you know, my entire dining room is 90 degrees, you know, so you just got to kind of like, you can't get overwhelmed. You just have to just walk up there and start with 1 AC. So what I usually do in this situation here was I just went up onto the roof and I walked around seeing which units were running. Okay. Condenser, fan motors, compressors. So then I put those ones on the back burner and I looked for, you know, what ACs were not running at all. And I start with those, and then I'll prioritize, like, you know, they had a bar AC and they had a back room. The back room was empty. There was nobody in it. So I jumped on the bar AC first, you know, went through that one, had bad temperature sensors for the economizer. So the economizer basically thought that it was cold enough outside that it was going to do free cooling instead of turning on the compressor. The whole purpose of the economizer in these units is to save energy and or meet fresh air requirements or demand control ventilation. You know, as customers start coming in the building, the CO2 levels start climbing, the economizers will open up to bring in fresh air to kind of alleviate some of the CO2 so you don't get like the sleepy building syndrome or whatever happens sometimes in office spaces where you have a lot of people and they're breathing CO2 out, and then people start to get sleepy, lethargic, they don't work as efficiently. Anyways, we're going off on a tangent on economizers, but in this situation, the economizer thought that it was cold enough outside to turn off the compressor and just bring in outside air. Well, the outside air was over 100 degrees. Okay, so the outdoor air damper opened up 100% and it was just sucking in all that 100-degree air, filling up the building. And that was part of the reason why the entire dining room was at 90 degrees. Even though they have separate air conditioners, it's all one common room. And so, you know, temperatures start bleeding over into the other rooms and it just becomes an issue. So we went ahead and diagnosed the bad temperature sensors for the economizer. I replaced them and the unit was back up and running. Okay. Then I jumped on the next unit that wasn't working at all, found that that one had oil. So I was really concerned, thinking I had a grounded compressor or something, and the oil smelt really bad too. Okay. My theory is that that unit's been leaking for a long time, and it ran with really high discharge temperature. As it was leaking, it started leaking out the oil charge, so the leftover oil started to really get damaged, started breaking down because of the high heat. That's my assumption, because when I pushed the Schrader up on the top and I told you guys that there was oil coming out, that oil was clear and it didn't look burnt at all. So I don't think that, there was a direct short and it contaminated the oil and it's all over the system. No, I just think that that compressor was running really hard, and eventually the system ran out of enough gas that the low pressure control shut it off. So that was our situation on that one. I'll be talking to them about a potential compressor replacement on there. I really, really wish these customers would start replacing some of this equipment, especially with the price hike. It is now June 19th of 2021, and R22 refrigerant, which I've been using up until now, skyrocketed like crazy expensive. And it's kind of a bummer, because these customers, of course, are just coming out of this COVID crap. They're struggling to survive. They're just allowed to open up. They just lifted the mask requirements in Southern California, and people are starting to flock back into the restaurants, and man, are these guys getting hit with a brick wall, because I can't even fix their unit. Now, yes, I can come in with an alternative refrigerant, but there's a lot of things you have to do to make the alternative refrigerants work, and we might have to do that. But I really wish that the customer would just replace this, put in a new unit. It'll come with 410A, or I don't know, maybe it'll come with something new. I don't know if they're changing over already, because they're phasing out 410A too. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. So, we'll see. We'll give the customer all the facts and all the information, and see where they want to go with that one. Now, the last unit, that one was interesting because, it was acting like it was overcharged. But before I started going crazy, even though the condenser looked sparkly clean, right? It was perfect looking. When I split the condenser, it was completely plugged on that second row condenser. Okay. And, now the first row wasn't dirty, right? The second row was. So logic tells you that one of those is the first stage, one of those is the second stage, but the air still has to pass through both of them, right? For that system to work right. So when that second row was plugged up, it was causing the high head pressure on the first one too. Now, I think there's still a slight restriction in the system, maybe overcharge. I don't know. I'd like to go in there and just kind of start from scratch, recover the refrigerant, weigh it back in, and see where we're at and see if that solves our head pressure problems. But it's so important to understand split row condensers, guys. Really, anything 4-ton and up, whether it be residential or commercial, if it has a tube and fin, that's copper tubes with aluminum fin condenser on it, there's very good odds that it's going to be a split row condenser. Okay, you hear what I said though? Residential too. For you residential guys, there is split row condensers on the residentials too. And washing it from the outside or just washing it from the inside is not going to cut it. You have to pull the top on those things to be able to access the split row condenser. You can wash it, but that crap isn't necessarily going to make it through both coils, okay? So you always got to investigate that stuff. So we pulled it apart. Condenser was plugged solid. We gave it a thorough cleaning, and the system started back up and was operational. It's not perfect, but we got the customer going. Of course, they're panicky. They were freaking out because we got Father's Day weekend. This is the first big holiday since they started opening things back up for us. And these guys just want to make some money and keep the customers happy. And they've still got 2 ACs down. The manager was a little bit upset with me because he's like, one of the ACs that's down is for their restroom. And, the customers are having to go in the restroom and it's 100 degrees in there and, it's just really hot. And it's like, he's like, can you fix that? Is there anything you can do? And it's like, dude, there's nothing I can do. It's can't help you right now. We got to get these ACs fixed, but we got to do it right. So they were a little bit bummed about that, but, I can only do what I can do, not really going to do a whole lot of work like that over the weekend. I'm not going to waste my entire weekend to go over there and try to fix something that, you know, try to clear a metering device. The restroom is fed by one of their kitchen ACs that I didn't work on in this video, but it has a completely restricted fixed orifice metering device on it, and it's going off on crazy high head pressure. So that's why I was like, dude, there's nothing I can do, man. You know, we're not going to deal with this over the weekend. It is what it is. You know, it's a bummer. But anyways, I really, really appreciate you guys making it to the end. So the end of these videos, I usually tell you guys about my live streams, okay? I have not been able to make a live stream. I think I've missed like 3 weeks because work has just been so busy. So tentatively, I do live streams on Monday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific, work permitting. As we're going through this crazy heat wave right now in Southern California, it's been a little difficult, so we'll see, okay? This video is going to come out on Sunday, June 20th. Possibly we'll do a live stream on Monday, June 21st, but it really just depends on how work and, you know, everything pans out, okay? If you guys haven't already, please check out my website, hvacrvideos.com. You can get shirts, you can get hats, beanies, sweaters, all that different stuff. It helps to support the channel. If you haven't watch to the end of these videos and you haven't heard me say this before, there's a couple different ways that you guys can help to support the channel, okay? The easiest way is simply watch the videos from start to finish, okay? Seriously, that helps so much. Feedback, leave me a comment on the videos, interact with the video with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you see fit. That helps YouTube to know that you guys are watching these videos. You can support the channel by going to my website, hvacrvideos.com, purchasing the merchandise. You can also go to truetech.tools.com. If you find any tools that you need, you can use my offer code BIGPICTURE, one word, to save 8% right now on your order. But that 8% can change at any time. So I always just say a discount to get a discount on your order. But as of today, you can save 8%. If you guys know exactly what tools you're going to purchase, you can shoot me an email and I can actually generate an affiliate link. That affiliate link helps me out a little bit more. You still get to save that, get the discount with my offer code, and then I get a little bit more of a commission if you have me generate an affiliate link, okay? That's a way to help to support it. You can also support me via Patreon. There's links in the show notes of this video. PayPal, you can support me via YouTube channel membership. So there's several different ways, okay? But the easiest way is simply with any YouTube creator out there. Watch the video from start to finish, and that will definitely help the creators, okay? Thank you guys so very much for making it to the end of the video. If you guys have any questions that I didn't answer, please send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com, and I will try and get back with you, okay? Other than that, we will catch you on the next one, okay?